Welcome to the Energized Woman podcast, the space where we ditch the burnout, drop the shoulds, and start living with more energy, ease, and joy. I'm your host, Joanne Bibby, energy coach, mum, and fellow woman on a mission to feel good without the pressure. So if you're ready to go from always exhausted to fully alive, you are in the right place. Each week, we'll explore real-life ways to nourish our bodies, honour our rest, and reconnect with ourselves so that we can start to thrive and not just survive. This is not just a podcast, it's a movement for women who are done with running on empty and ready to reclaim their energy and prioritise their well-being, because you deserve to. So join us, grab a cuppa, take a deep breath, and let's get started. Welcome to Energized Women podcast with my monthly session with my wonderful friend Hannah. Hannah, how are you doing? It's kind of the official start of spring in the UK, which is amazing, and you're on your holidays. So how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I am really good. The sun is shining. I'm off work this week, which is nice. We're not doing anything big. We're just doing cleaning and boring tasks like that. But then we're going to go to my mum's for a few days. And I'm contemplating when to do Ewan's hay fever jab. Do you know, like, I don't want to go too early. I don't want to go too late. So I'm just like having a little conundrum about that in my head at the moment. When do I get him jabbed? So I don't want to waste money, but also don't want to leave it too late. So we'll see. And that's my conundrum of this week. But I'm doing well.
Well, that's the mum admin we juggle, isn't it?
Exactly.
These decisions we have to make.
Yeah.
Actually, talking about decision fatigue, I will go first. I was going to ask you what's giving you life right now, but that just like ties in really well to what I was going to share, because decision fatigue is real. And I don't know about you, but the amount of decisions we have to make on a daily basis as busy women and mums, just like deciding what to make for tea is an absolute nightmare. Like, I love cooking, but it's a nightmare when you've got fussy kids and you've got your own things going on. You want to eat healthy and they don't, and they don't like this. But anyway, also, I hate having to decide what to wear in the morning. That really annoys me because I'm like, I don't know. So my tip for the month that's given me life, that's helping my decision fatigue, is an account on Instagram called Mama in Denim. It's like MAMA in Denim. And it's this lady in America, and she gives you a daily formula of what to wear. And I just love it. And it's not about going out and buying anything new. You don't have to do that. It's about like using what's in your wardrobe and just like mixing it up in different ways. So she'll be like, today we're going to wear a cardigan with a skirt and any shoes. And you're just like, thank you. I can do that.
Amazing. Well, I can ring you up and tell you what to wear if you want.
That'd be great. Like anything new that's a formula that just helps you have space in your brain. I'm here for it. So I love it. So that's my hack. So what's given you life at the moment, Han?
What's given me life? Do you know what? It's a good question. I'm still running, which is really helpful and giving me life at the moment. I feel like I'm doing reasonably well with that. I've got up to over 10K now, so I'm quite impressed with myself. But yeah, I'm doing okay. And I think that's given me life. Yeah.
Yeah, running is life-giving once you finish the run, I feel.
I hate running.
Yes.
I hate the idea of running. I hate the actual run. But once I'm finished, I feel pleased with myself. Yeah.
You feel amazing. You've got all those endorphins. You're buzzing. You're like, I am badass. I'm so proud of you. Over 11K is awesome. Hannah, you invited me earlier this year to do the half marathon in Nottingham, and I said, no, thank you. I said, thank you, but no, thank you. And it's not that I wouldn't love to do it with you, but I know how much training and commitment it takes to a half marathon, or that I would need at least. I've done one before. So I am cheering you on all the way. I'm going to do a 10K in September, which is a big enough goal for me, but you're there already. You've smashed that. You do that, no problem.
Well, I do feel like I'm getting to the point now where I can't just go and do an hour's, like normally you go to the gym at lunchtime or just have to work for an hour, and I feel like really pleased. I've got to the point now where it's not just an hour anymore. So I am looking forward in this next season to the lighter nights, because it means that I've got more time to then go and do an hour and a half, which is basically what I'm doing now. And it'll come up to 2 hours, and then it'll be 2.5 hours. So I feel like I do need to, just get my head into gear of that amount of exercise I'm going to have to do like a couple of times a week. Not
Yeah, be
every
okay
day,
with it taking that
but
much
just being
time.
okay with the fact it's going to take 2.5 hours out of my life 3 times a week, and then I can go back to just doing an hour, which will feel like easy. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a big commitment, but it is a bit easier when it's lighter. It gives you
Yeah.
more space in the day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're going to talk about friendship today, which is great because I'm getting to talk to my friend about friendship. It's awesome. Um, and it's quite funny. I'll get onto this later, but I had a little chat with Gemini, which like Gemini AI earlier, and it raised some really funny points about it. So I'll share those with you because I'd love to hear your reaction. But first of all, yeah, how do you find friendship as just like a woman who has faith and who has a busy life? Like, do you find it something that comes easy to you? Like you seem to me from knowing you for quite a long time now, you have a great group of friendships, something you really prioritize. But I don't know if that's something you find easy. You're very good at it. I'd say you're very good at being a great friend. But how easily does that come to you? Would you say?
Firstly, I love that your first thought about friendship was Chat GPT, which is really quite concerning, Joe.
It is worrying.
It is a little bit worrying. One of my
How do I be a friend?
one of my other friends recently got a message from Chat GPT that basically said, "Please, can you stop asking me questions?" Which I thought was hilarious because obviously she's just asking
Wow, how many is she
I
asking?
know, it was impressive. Anyway, do I find friendships easy? I think the answer is yes and no, which is not a very straightforward answer, is it? So I find showing up for friendships very easy. So I love showing up for friendships. I am probably, I was reflecting on this on last Friday, about that. I suppose it's like the biblical idea of friendship, what Jesus models is having a close view and then having a wider close view and then having a lot of other people that are in your periphery. Like in terms of the model of, he had like 3 disciples that he was really, really, really close to. He went to Gethsemane with him, and then he had other friendships that were in that discipleship group, and then he had other friendships outside of that as well. So I always think that is quite a core model of, I think I do have a handful of friends who I would say I had a really, really, really close relationship with, and then other friends that are within my friendship group that I love spending time with and I really enjoy being with. But it's been interesting because I was reflecting with another one of my friends on yesterday actually about, I am often perceived as somebody who has lots and lots of friends all of the time, but I don't always feel like my intensity, I suppose, of friendship is reciprocated. And I have to sometimes just accept that even though I know deep down people love me, that they don't always maybe show up for me in the way that I show up for them, or I would like them to show up for me at times. And that's not a reflection of the fact that they don't care about me and they don't want to be my friend or they don't love me. They're just made up, like the way they're made is very different than me. And then the other thing that I was reflecting on with my particular friend that I'd gone for a walk with yesterday is that it's okay to have different friends for different things. So I was saying, we were chatting about friendship in general, and I'd said, because I wouldn't really talk about sex with you. And she said, no, I wouldn't really want you to talk about sex with me. And I was like, I tend to just talk about sex with Jo, and I'm really honest with her about that. And I've got another friend who I would be very honest with about. And she went, yeah, that's fine. You can just leave that with Jo.
That's so funny.
And yeah, so I think that was just a really funny moment where there's, I guess, like for me and you, I don't think there's any subject that we would not talk about. But I think with maybe some other friends, there are subjects that maybe I wouldn't talk about because they feel uncomfortable. And so I would kind of talk about other things with them, maybe more so. Whereas with you, there's nothing that is off the table, if that makes any sense. And I've got a couple of friends who are like that I would talk about absolutely anything with and would never feel any judgment or shame. And I don't think this other friend would be judgy. I just think that they would feel uncomfortable talking about it. So I wouldn't bring it up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, there's definitely nothing off the table with us, but yeah, that's just so funny. But I think you need real trust, don't you, to be able to share everything with someone, and also wisdom. I don't think it's wise necessarily to share everything with everyone. There's that verse in the Bible which I refer to a lot, like don't throw your pearls to swine. Not that any of our friends are swine, but there's just different levels, like you're saying. And I love that model that you mentioned of Jesus, how he had he had the guys, he had the main guys, the disciples, and he had a wider group that he hung out with. But he really invested and shared his life with those guys. But he picked them carefully, didn't he? Like he saw their hearts and he trusted them as much as he could any other humans, I suppose. But yeah,
I mean, I don't think my friendship with this other person is about trust. I think it's actually more to do with the fact that their partner would find that uncomfortable.
Yeah, so for them, it's wise to not share that.
It's wise not to share it, not because of them, but because of how that might show up for the other person. So it's not really about a trust issue. I suppose it's just about navigating somebody else's relationship within that as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking more in general, sharing your heart with people. You have to sort of trust them that they'll treat what you share well, don't you? If you're sharing like the depths of your soul or a really difficult thing you've been through, sometimes that isn't always received with care, is it? So I think it's wise to have different levels of friendship, like you're saying. But also I was thinking also, as you were sharing about personality types, and me and you're both really into the Enneagram, and you're a 2 and I'm a 3. And so it totally makes sense that you would enjoy being kind and caring in a friendship and giving, and having lots of friends, but also deserving to have that back for sure. But me as a 3, I've had to be really careful because 3s we're very like success and achievement driven, which I used to think was awful. I've kind of accepted it now, but I've had to be really careful to not just have kind of transactional relationships. I've realized like with friendships, for not just have a purpose, but for just to be a friendship for the sake of it. So yeah, I've been aware that I've slipped into that in the past, almost like, sounds horrible, but like, what can I get from this? Like, what will this achieve, this partnership? So I think it's really interesting how we approach friendship differently with different personalities and how that shows up.
Yeah, and I probably think me and you, it's helpful for you that I don't have a business. Like that's not in my periphery. So we don't have a relationship that is also then linked to you doing a retreat day, or like, I know we do this podcast, but
we're doing a podcast.
That's a little, but that's just more for fun. But there isn't like an agenda majorly when me and you meet around, have we got any other targets or achievements that we're gonna do together, if that makes sense. Maybe we should, but that doesn't seem, so when we're together it is just literally laughing and being very silly at times and vomiting everything that we could possibly want to out towards each other, and also challenging each other. And I think sometimes we do agree with each other and other times we don't. And I quite enjoy it when we don't, because we have a bit of a chat about why we don't agree.
I love that we're able to do that. Way. Yeah, that feels like a real strength. Like that feels like that's what I'm saying, achievement. It's not achievement, Joanne, but like a really good place to get to in a friendship where you can disagree, because you've got to feel safe enough to do that, don't you? And I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, I think the balance of our personalities has been really like healing and helpful for me, that there is no agenda. I love that word you use. There's not, like, we're there because we like each other and we like hanging out, and that's been so helpful for me. I guess part of the reason I probably look for transactional relationships is because I think I have to offer something. I have to offer the other person something that helps them achieve something that maybe I'm not enough by myself. So to have friendships like ours where it's just about us being ourselves is so healthy and healing and life-giving. So I'm grateful for it.
For you.
Ooh.
So I've got a question for you. In terms of trusting people, like, why have you found that difficult in friendships, and how, because you've talked about that in other podcasts, and how have you overcome that with our friendship? Because I guess lots of people have really struggled with that previously. And I know we've touched on it a few times before, But I think that's a really good thing to talk about, especially our age of life, because we don't often make new friends. But then sometimes somebody does come along and you're like, actually, they've made it into my main group, but actually I only met them like 8 years ago, or, you know, rather than friendships that you've had for like 20 years or longer.
Yeah, oh, that's a good question. I was going to ask you about that. I didn't want to answer it myself about like my trust issues. Goodness me. But I will try and answer. So I think it does come from a place of insecurity and feeling like I'm not enough. Like that's probably my trust issues, that this person at some point is going to get fed up with me and realize they're going to see me for who I am, and they're not going to like it, and they're not going to want to be friends with me. I think it probably comes a bit from kind of masking, you know, having ADHD and maybe like feeling I have to behave a certain way to fit in and be accepted. But at the same time, I have had really lovely friendships through my life. But there was one particular one which probably did really impact my ability to trust that people kind of want to be my friend. Me and my husband moved to Chesterfield when we just had my youngest. She was just a tiny baby, and I made friends with someone there who we were really good friends. And she was, I guess you remind me of her a little bit, not completely, obviously, because we're still friends, but she was just really fun, kind, warm, and just sort of took me in. And I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe she wants to be my friend. She's like really cool and fun. And we were really good friends for a few years. And then she just kind of like dumped me, basically. She started seeing this going out with other women in our church and like not inviting me. And it was so hard. Like it was so hurtful because I was just like, what have I done? What have I done? And I think it's really interesting with friendships, because if you have a relationship, like a romantic relationship, like breakups can be really hard, but at least you've often got like a clear ending. Like there's a start and there's an end, and you kind of know why. You will have had probably, unless you've just been ghosted, you'll have had a conversation about why that's ending, and you can probably process that. But I think with friendships, we don't always do that, and maybe we should. We should do that, because I think it's helpful to be able to process it and accept it. So I think that happened quite soon before me and you met. So I was probably in a place of thinking, like, you're going to do the same, you know, you're going to get to know me and then dump me. So it took me a while, didn't it? Like you had to keep showing up and like ask me to hang out for me to actually believe that you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did. So it was all right.
You did, and we're still here.
I think the ghosting thing is an interesting thing. Like I've been ghosted recently by a friend from work, and they'll never listen to this podcast, so it's okay, because it's a man, not a woman, so it's okay. He's unlikely to ever watch this, but he's a really good friend of mine at work, and he's just totally ghosted me. He's actually moved to a different area, and I've been really confused by it as a 44-year-old woman who thought I had a good friendship with somebody, and they have absolutely ghosted me, and I just got to the point where I don't know what to do about it anymore. So that's it, like that's the end of it. But it does feel really strange, like you said, if it's a relationship, you've kind of got an ending most of the time. I mean, some people talk about being ghosted by people, and that is just must be so difficult, but it's felt really confusing and very like, what have I done wrong? I don't think I have done anything wrong, but like, am I not enough? Like, am I not valued? Like, I don't deserve that. Like, really strange kind of thought process in my head, really. And it's actually really tough to kind of get over that, and then I guess then learn to trust people again.
It's tough to get over it, and it's tough for not to impact your self-worth. And I think you have to really wrestle with that and really fight to keep your self-worth and realize it's probably not about you. I think any sort of rejection is so tough, like so tough, whether it's, you know, I've had it in family as well, which has been awful, friends, churches as well. Like we could talk about that. I think friendship and church are very complex, because we've been around a bit. We've been at a few churches, which isn't ideal, but what we've often found is that we'll make friends in a church, and then if we have to leave for whatever reason, if we've moved or there's something that happened, you'd kind of hope that those friendships were real and they would continue. But what we often find is that people are just so busy. They're busy with church and they're busy with their own stuff, and they're too busy for those friendships to continue. And that's made me sad in the past. That, like, was it real? Were you just ticking a box because we were at the same church? And I get it. I get life's busy, but I think our genuine friendship shouldn't be determined by going to the same church. And I think our friendship's one of the few that survived us moving churches, which I'm so grateful for again. But that's been sad. How have you found friendship within church? Has it made any difference that it's come from church, or is it? Yeah, how have you found it?
I don't really think so. I mean, like, I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like I've talked about it a lot, but in other podcasts. But obviously, I've had some really difficult relationships within church that have ended. And again, I suppose one of the things I wanted to talk about today was that actually it's okay to kind of put boundaries in with people that have hurt you.
Yeah.
And just because it's church doesn't mean that you should allow people to just hurt you and consistently do that and not go, right, I don't think this friendship is the right one for me and I'm going to step away from it. And I think that's not, to say that we shouldn't work through forgiveness. And, I definitely feel like I've done that, being able to forgive people and moving on. But at the same time, being like, you've betrayed my trust and actually I don't want to like connect with you in that way anymore. And as somebody definitely is an Enneagram 2 who would want to please people and show up for them, I have found that really difficult because I also miss, the friendship that we did have, I think, particularly. And sometimes I'll think about, I should just reach out to them. And then I think, no, I need to keep that boundary in there. But actually sometimes when relationships are difficult at work or at life, NCT, NCT, is it NCT? Whatever, baby groups, or even like church groups, it is important to sometimes put boundaries in because it is sometimes really tricky, especially like you said, when sometimes people are quite cliquey in churches, and that's quite difficult if you're new to kind of integrate into that. And we're part of a really massive church in Nottingham. So if you came there every week, you'd never really meet anybody. So it's actually really important to be part of a smaller group so you can kind of build friendships with people. We've just had in our small group, a new small group start. So half the people have basically gone with this new small group. And again, interestingly, that's brought up an understanding that I absolutely feel like the people who went on that like small group plan felt God called them to do that. But I felt a personal sense of rejection that I wasn't good enough, that they wanted to stay for me, which is absolutely rational. And when I've got perspective, that is so not the case. I absolutely, allow them to go with complete like love and trust that that's what God wanted them to do. And I think they're amazing. And I think it's going to be brilliant for them. And I think it was absolutely the right thing. But it does feel like I felt a sense of sadness. And again, it comes back to this thing of, am I enough? And it always comes back to that for me. And again, yesterday when I was out with my mate, we were chatting about this, one of the things that she really struggles with, and and this thing about being enough that I really struggle with. And I definitely struggle with it within relationships because, sometimes I feel like I'm always the one who goes, do you want to hang out? And then it feels like it's always me kind of initiating. Like I hang out with somebody, it sounds like I'm in love with people. I'm not in love with people. Like it was like initiating a date, like initiating that, do you want to do something? And when I do that too many times, it makes me feel like it's not reciprocal. Whereas like other people are like, I love it when you initiate stuff because I'm crap at initiating stuff. And I love it when you go, do you want to have a coffee? Because like my answer is always yes, but I'm really rubbish at asking you. And it's not because I don't want to ask you. It's just because I'm really busy, or because I get too scared to text you, somebody or think you're too busy, that you wouldn't have time for me. So it is interesting, like those different dynamics where you get in your own head about it, I think sometimes. Whereas I don't really have that with you. Sometimes I'll text you, you don't text me back, so I'll just text you again. But I know that it's not, I know you well enough to know that at some point you'll respond to me and be like, oh, I've had a really crap week, I'm really sorry. And I know with me and you, if you don't respond to me, it's not because you don't love me, because I'm really secure in that,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm so glad you know that because that's definitely the case. It was
Yeah,
this week, hey.
yeah,
But yeah, I think you're so right. For me, it comes back exactly to me not feeling enough. Like,
yeah,
I think we just express it in different ways because of our personalities. Like, you might lean in more and I might pull away more.
yeah,
And I think it's really powerful to share that. I'm sure so many people listening can see where that shows up in their friendships or how it has done. And that'll be for a reason. But it's so important we see that and we fight that idea that we're not enough. Even if people have made us feel like that, because we definitely are. Uh, but also talking about church, there. I was thinking, I was sort of wondering as you were talking about friendships and churches, I wonder if they hurt more sometimes when people let us down because we kind of expect more from each other. It's like, oh, we're Christians, so we should be nice and kind, and we're not always, are we? Like, I'm not. But I
yeah.
think we kind of expect other Christians to be better, and they're not because they're human, and that's okay. But on the flip side, like you were saying, it's very healthy to have boundaries because we're also, I think, conditioned, or I definitely was growing up. I think it's changing, hopefully, but that kind of good girl conditioning, that good Christian girl where we forgive everyone, we give them
Mm,
another chance. And that is not always healthy. And I don't think that's what Jesus meant when he said that. I think, yeah, we should forgive so that we can heal and move forward when we're
mm,
ready. We can't always do that straight away, but that does not mean letting someone walk over you again and again. Like that is not loving ourselves or others well, is it? But I think there is that sort of unspoken or spoken expectation that we'll be nice Christians and we'll just keep forgiving. But that is not healthy for anyone.
I think it's all about expectations, though, isn't it?
Mm.
And I think sometimes we look at we not even like, we watch TV programs, or we look at Instagram, or we look at the world around us and we think, oh my gosh, that person's got like one best friend that they do absolutely everything with. And I wish I had that, but I'm never going to have that because I pick up friendships all the time. Like I I have friends at church, friends at work, friends, that I've been with friends with for a really, really long time. And even when we church planted, and like obviously then you had like a whole new group of friendships. Like my core friendship stayed the same, the 4 or 5 girls that I've been friends with for a really, 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 really long time. And actually, you're probably one of the only people that's infiltrated that core group of friends that I've had for like 20 years ever, in terms of the depth of friendship that we have. Um, yeah, but I think sometimes you look at other people and think, oh my gosh, I wish I had one best friend that we did everything with. But I guess it's understanding that you might have that, but actually, when you look to your left, somebody might not have that, and that's okay. And actually, it shows up differently in different people's lives because of who you are. And I was having that chat with my daughter Martha yesterday, and we were chatting about friendships. And I was like, but the problem is you have like dancing friends, school friends, other school friends, church friends, family friends, and you like cousins who she loves hanging out with. And then I was like, you've got so many pockets of friendships that other people, like my niece only has 2 friends from school. That's it. She doesn't have any other friends. Actually, she does have one other family friend, because her main friendship group are just those 2 friends at school, because she never did gymnastics or dancing or guides or whatever people do. So it is interesting, like how people have different friendships and what that looks like for different people. And you think, oh, I wish, me and you always joke, we wish we lived next door to each other. And I do genuinely wish I lived next door to you. And sometimes I feel like I've really missed out in my life being able to just going, like being like, and we always talk about going in your door and not even knocking, just going, oh, I'm going to make,
Mm-hmm.
hey, Joe, I'm just popping over. You're all right, girls. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Do you want to make a cup of tea? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And just having that in and out sort of relationship with somebody. But I'd probably be a bit too much if that actually was the reality. You'd be like locking your door, Joe.
Hiding, like, just come in, put the lights
I
out.
mean, yeah. Turn the lights out. Hannah's on her way again.
I'm joking. I'm literally almost crying because I wish you did live next door so badly. But yeah, I think that's how we're meant to live, really, like in villages and communities.
Yeah.
But also, our friendships will be different, like we're saying, depending on our personality and our experience. And I definitely made the the conscious decision a few years ago, I realized I had lots of surface level friendships and like those transactional ones. And I definitely made the decision I'm going to focus in on just like 2 or 3 people, be really intentional with them. I think you can have as many or as little friends as you want, as long as you've got those couple of people, have got your back. But you can't just take them for granted. You have to be that back and be intentional. So that's helped me a lot. Just be clear in my head about who's my tribe and like get that kind of inner circle. But I'll tell you for a laugh, I'll tell you the first thing that Jim and I said. Well, I asked it basically, what does the Bible say about friendship? Because I was being lazy and I couldn't be bothered looking. But the first thing it said, which I took huge offense to, was stop looking for a soulmate in your best friend. And I was like, how dare you? Because Hannah is my soulmate.
You see, I think that's wrong, because I think we all try and look. And I remember my mum saying this to me when we got married. She said, one, I hate the word other half, like my better half. I hate that phrase when you get married.
Well, they're not better.
Because they're not better. But I also don't think Tim's my soulmate. I love him. And he is an amazing person, and he is one of my best friends. So, like, don't get me wrong, I love hanging out with him. He's very wise, but he's never gonna want to go shopping with me, ever. He's never gonna want to get a piercing with me.
Right?
He's never.
Why not
want to do that? And he's never gonna want to get a tattoo with me, which I will do with you at some point. But
anytime.
He's never gonna want to do those things with me. So I don't want to go and watch football in the cold, like for 3 hours. Like, that's okay. And I think I don't know what I think about soulmates. Maybe that's a whole nother podcast. But I think we have lots of different friendships that like itch different scratches, or like a part of your story in different ways, and that's okay. But like you said, I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was that you've got to have somebody that you're accountable to, somebody that you can go, do you know what? I've made a really big mistake, or I really feel like I'm tempted in this area. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to own it. And then I want you to keep me accountable, because I think if you don't have people who can call you out and challenge you, that's the thing that's the core of depth of friendship, that you've got to have a couple of people doing that in your life, really asking you direct questions about what your intentions are and why you actually did that. And yeah.
You're so right. And that's really funny, because the next thing Jim and I said was, I love this, real biblical friendship is violent in a good way. And basically it's saying if your friends never hurt your feelings by telling you the truth, then they're not really friends.
Yeah.
And it's not, their job isn't to make you feel good, it's to make you more like Jesus. So like, yeah, it's that permission. But I think that takes a lot of work in yourself to be that good a friend, because I think like I worked really hard on being a bit kinder to myself the last few years, I think. So I think when you're kinder to yourself and you stop judging and criticizing yourself, you can actually do that for others. Like when someone tells you something, you might be a bit shocked, but you're like, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not perfect. Like, yeah, I'm here to hear that. I mean, not to say, oh yeah, it's okay, just keep going. We're going to like call out the best in each other, aren't we? We want the best. We want the best life for each other. So we're going to challenge each other so we get that. But it takes working on ourselves too, I think. I don't think we can be lazy with that. Like we have to make sure that we're happy in ourselves so we can be like a nice, happy person. When you meet people, have you ever had those friends where you just know they're not that happy in themselves and they're just a bit like mean girl vibes, and they'll like make little digs? I've had a few friends like that I have had to dump, but I've told them why. I'm just not having that when they're like mean to pull you down, not to challenge you and bring you up. It's more like digs, and they can't be happy for you. So that's different. Like I think the best friends, my favorite friends, like favorite people like you, are people, we're not perfect, but we're happy. We do the work and we're kind. And I think that is a responsibility you have in relationships. Any relationships is to do the work in it so you can show up.
Yeah. And I think my other thing, and again, that comes back to probably my pain in what happened at the end of church, was one of my big core things is I want to know that my friends are going to show up for me if I'm not in a room. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in that room, how are they going to speak about me? How are they going to show up for me when I'm not physically there? Um, and so for me, that's a really core value, probably now more than ever, around I want to know that they're going to speak well of me if I'm not in the room.
So important. You've got to know people have got your back.
Yeah.
That's people to keep close, isn't it? They're
Yeah.
precious though, and they're rare.
Mm,
So keep them close. It's what we deserve. It's what we should do for each other. It should be
yeah.
like
And
the
I think,
minimum.
yeah, like building women up and like, like you said, being accountable and challenging each other, but actually also always having each other's back and always wanting to be the person that is supportive to them. Um, and I think I can definitely get better at that. Um, yeah, I definitely think there's room to grow in all of those areas, like being more accountable, asking the right questions, and being challenged and challenging others. I think sometimes I find it difficult to actually ask some difficult questions sometimes because I to don't like to upset people. And actually sometimes
Mm.
maybe I need to ask those questions a bit more and be a little bit more honest at times. But then I've got to take that back.
Yeah, and not be too scared of the answer, I guess, isn't
Hmm.
it? Yeah. But if you trust that person, you know what's going to be said with love, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at asking for help. That's one of my areas of weakness. And that comes from my feelings of not feeling enough. Like, no one's going to want to be bothered with my burdens.
Mm,
But I think because of your personality, you quite like it if I say, Hannah, I'm having a crap day. Can you like pray for me? Or like, I think in my head, I'm like, I'm going to burden you. I'm going to annoy you. You're busy. But that's me. That's not you. I'm terrible. I'm like hyper independent because that's just, I guess, a coping mechanism I've created. So I need to get better at being like vulnerable in friendships, I think,
yeah.
and asking
There's
for help.
absolutely nothing more I love than when you ring me in a crisis. I've got to admit, it makes me feel loved in a way that I can't even express. That I'm that person that you rang in that crisis. Like I love that. I love the fact that I'm that person that you called in that moment. And when I need to talk to somebody and I chose Hannah, that is like showing up for me in a way that I can't even tell you. I love it.
Well,
I'd drop anything for that. Like that is my love language.
I need to hear that and I need to believe it. I need to
Mm-hmm.
it and I need to do it. So thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful for you, you know.
Ta.
So what would you say, maybe if someone's listening and they recognize some of the stuff we're talking about, you know, like that idea of not feeling enough and either withdrawing from friendships or being maybe overly needy. I don't mean that in a negative way at all, but you know, like
Mm.
reliance on other people to make them feel good enough. Like what's helped you on that journey? Maybe like your faith or just stuff you've worked on. I'm putting you on the spot. I've not prepared you for this question, but is there anything that comes to your mind that's helped you come closer to feeling like enough? I don't think we ever get it totally right, do we? But what's helped you so far?
I definitely think faith. And I think, again, like without sounding cheesy, knowing that actually God knows all of me, like He knows me better than I know myself. And if I just actually have some quiet time where I switch anything off and I don't get distracted and I just sit with a bit of silence and I start to kind of unpick some of the things that I'm feeling, like God will show up for me. And interestingly, my spiritual direction on Friday, um, she asked me, "How are you?" And I was like, "I'm fine. I'm doing really well." And then she went, "How are you really?" And then that kind of made me think about other things. Okay, so this is going on, and then she said, "And how are you feeling about all of those things?" And it was like, I guess, like a bit like an onion, where I was like unpicking. Actually, on the surface, I'm fine, but like what is going on underneath? And it was a really good moment of just sitting with God with some of those feelings, and what came out for me were like worrying about the children a little bit and worrying about Tim keeps talking about, it's going to be amazing when the kids leave and it's just me and you. And that just frightens the crap out of me. And I'm like, it is not going to be amazing for me. And I don't know what that's going to look like. And kind of actually, we were then talking about friendships in that Tim is such an introvert. He doesn't really feel like he needs friendships. Like it's not a big thing for him that he doesn't see people I love connectivity. I love
Mm.
community. I love seeing people. It gives me energy when it's the right people. It gives me lots of energy. Not everybody gives me energy. I am more introverted than I used to be. And so we were kind of unpicking a little bit about that. And I was thinking about what that meant for my faith and like how, yeah, just like where God sits in all of that, really. And how important it is to have a friendship and for me to show up to God, being honest because he knows it anyway, and talking it through and reading the Bible, because actually more often than not, the answers are in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not very good at sitting in that, like sitting with God and what he says about me and receiving that love. But I know it's amazing. It's just amazing to know there is a love available for us that is unconditional, where we are enough and we're completely accepted and loved. And I think the more we can get that, the more we'll know it and the more we'll be able to show up in friendships and relationships and be able to like give and receive that love. It's not easy and it takes intention, and it takes just, yeah, like that, but also just getting out there and nurturing your friendships because they're so precious. They're such a gift, aren't they? And like life is a lot right now and we need them. We definitely need them. Yeah.
And I think the other thing you were asking is like, how do we do that? And I think again, it's about being really honest. And like I said, when I went for this walk with my mate yesterday, we were talking about like her perception of friendship and my perception of friendship. And she thinks I'm really busy all the time. And she was like, how can I show up better for you? Or I asked her that for her. And I don't think we've ever asked each other that. And I was like, actually, I want more of you, which sounds really needy. But what I mean by that is I would love you just to check in with me like once a week rather than leaving it like every couple of weeks until we check in with each other. I'd really like to just be checked on, like, how are you doing? And me, even if it's just a 2-second, yeah, I'm all right, or no, I'm not all right. Yeah, like, and we kind of shared a little bit with one another. And I think that grew our friendship even like more depth. And we've been friends for like over 20 years. So like, again, just showing up and asking those questions is okay. And being able to be really honest with each other.
Yeah, it's such a good question to ask your friend. Like, maybe we could all do that this week. Just be like, how can I show up for you?
Yeah.
It's like, what's your love language, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
what? And that is like, you learn so much that way. Like, what's your like communication style? And yeah, that's so good. I love that.
Interesting. And I asked my niece the other day because she's having a really difficult time. And I'd texted her a couple of times and she hadn't really responded. And then I'd gone out with her to do some event and we'd gone to, and I was like, oh, I've been really worried about you, but I haven't really know how to have shown up for you. How did you want me to do that? And she said, oh, interesting, you had texted me a couple of times and I'd ignored you. And she said, but like one of the times you text me, I wanted to talk, so I responded. And she said, for me, it's like, keep asking me the question, because sometimes I don't want to answer, but there's other times where you catch me in the right moment and I absolutely do want to answer that question. I've just struggled to answer it the first 2 times you asked me. So for me, I kind of thought, right, I need to keep showing up for her and keep saying, how you doing? I know you don't want to answer that. You know, if you don't want to answer today, that's fine, but I'm going to ask you again in a couple of days, knowing that at some point I might catch her on the right moment where she actually does want to chat, because she does want to chat. She's just not in the right headspace in that day.
Yeah, and it's so good you had that conversation, because otherwise you could be thinking, oh, she's fallen out of me, I've done something to upset her. Like, we just go in a spiral, don't we, if we don't actually have the conversations. But just have the conversation, and asking someone how to show up for them is such a beautiful thing to ask, and it just grows your connection, doesn't it? Oh, love that. Yeah, please do keep texting me back too when I don't answer straight away, because I'm just a bit rubbish sometimes. I think that is a great note to finish on. Like, it's not easy. And I think we do definitely compare ourselves, on social media, and we see our friends doing stuff like us and we feel left out. But we can be that person that shows up, but we can do that for someone else. So yeah, just challenge you this week. Just text your friend, arrange a coffee date, ask them how you can show up for them, because it's a precious and beautiful thing to have a good friendship. And yeah, keep working on that with yourself and know how loved you are and how enough you are. Yes. Thanks, Hannah. Love chatting to you as always. And we'll be back next month. Don't know what we're going to talk about. Have we decided?
No, we'll chat about it.
Okay, we'll let you know. We'll be back soon. Have a lovely Easter and we'll see you soon.
Eat some eggs. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Energized Woman podcast. I hope it gave you a little spark of energy, clarity, or calm today. If it did, I'd love it if you hit follow, left a quick review, or shared it with a friend who's ready to go from always exhausted to fully alive too. Until next time, take care of your lovely self, not because you should, but because you deserve to feel good. See you soon.